Last time on Kipper Tales. As our boat shopping activities continue, we had a look at a Westerly Seahawk 34, a bilge keeler. And we made another trip down into Pembrokeshire to have a look at a Westerly Discus 33. While this 33 may have got away, it's certainly a type of boat that's going to go on our watch list. Coming up in this episode, we take a look back at another boat that came on our radar way back at the beginning of this adventure, when we take a look at a Moody 33 Mark II. And we bring you an update on our boat shopping activities. We've now reached a point where tough decisions have had to be made, and today is the day that our boat shopping ends. Way back at the beginning of this adventure, we came across a Moody 33 for sale in Pembrokeshire. Now, first of all, at this stage, we weren't actually recording any of the viewings that we were doing, so I'd really like to say a massive thank you to Pembrokeshire Yacht Sales for allowing me to use their footage and data. So we made 2 trips to this boat in Pembrokeshire. Well, now I think about it, we made a lot of trips to look at boats in Pembrokeshire. Unfortunately, it's been some time since this video was actually produced, and unfortunately the only ones on record now are of a lower quality. But despite this, I'm sure it will give a real flavour for how great this boat really was. At the time, because we were at the beginning of this adventure, we didn't really appreciate just what a wonderful boat we were looking at, but we've learned our lesson since. Let's talk a little bit about the design. Well, the Moody 33 Mark I and Mark II are designed by Angus Primrose. He's also credited with some real pinnacles of achievement in design. For example, Sir Francis Chichester's Gypsy Moth from his circumnavigation in 1967, and then later Commander Bill King's Galway Blazer from the 1969 Golden Globe race, back where it all began. Sadly, Angus Primrose himself disappeared off the South Carolina coast back in 1980 when his Moody 33 foundered in a storm. The Moody 33 was built by Marine Projects Plymouth UK Limited between 1978 and 1981, with some 121 boats actually produced. So let's talk statistics. Well, length overall, she's just over 10 metres or 33 foot, as the name suggests. At the waterline, she's just over 8.5 metres. Well, that's about 28.5 feet, which again is pretty much on par with some of the boats that we've been to see since. Also then, worthy of note is that she's 11.5 feet of the beam, which again was something else on our shopping list. We wanted that extra space. Looking at this on paper, she's got it and bags to spare. Displacing just under 5,000 kilograms or 5 ton to you and me, she actually has a draft of 1.35 meters or 4.5 feet. And of course this version is a fin keel. Now let's have a look at the layout. One thing that really struck me straight away was this anchor well right in the bow. I must admit I was in 2 minds about this setup, but I have to say it was well appointed, well drained, but nowhere really to secure an anchor. The rest of the deck layout is well appointed with various handholds etc. for moving around. She's a Bermuda rig, but as you can see on the boom there is no lazy jacks or anything like that, so she is a slab reefing system, but it works, and with most of the lines led back to the cockpit. Now, talking of cockpits, the actual cockpit itself is quite spacious, and you'll have no doubt noticed it's a centre cockpit arrangement. All the controls are nicely to hand, and there's loads of winches all over the place, and all of them are self-tailing, which to me is a big tick in a box. After the cockpit is the main sheet traveller, and I personally like this arrangement because it means there's no main sheet in the cockpit cluttering the space or blocking the companionway. Another tick in a box. I especially like the separated arrangement because it's very similar to the one on Kipper, and we know from experience that works. Heading down the companionway into the main cabin, off to the port side we have the galley area, which is quite compact but well laid out. We have a sink with hot and cold water, fridge freezer below, plenty of storage, and of course plenty of storage for plates and so on and so forth behind. This cooker wise, we're actually looking at a 2-burner stove with grill and oven. What more do you need? The Moody 33 Mark II is a 6-berth setup, the first of which is here on the port side. Going ahead of that, we've actually got some hanging locker space, which is always very handy for the oilies or something. As we look back into the main saloon itself, you can't help but get the appreciation that actually it feels quite spacious down here, quite roomy. Over on the starboard side then we have the 2nd berth, but we've got full standing headroom here, and it does feel quite homely. And it's nicely rounded off with a 2-leaf table, which is just perfect when the guests come round to inspect the levels in your favourite bottle of whiskey. As we move up into the forecabin, we have a standard 2-single sort of arrangement with an infill which makes it a nice double. The rest of the cabin layout is pretty standard, although it does have plenty of storage as you can see, but also parts of it then have also been carpeted, which to me is actually a little bit warmer than just bare wood or paint, and of course miles better than saggy headlinings. Just after the forecabin on the starboard side is the heads, which is the sort of usual standard arrangement, some storage, a hot and cold water system, and that really is about it. I did like the touch with the toilet paper way up out of the way. And finally, let's have a look at the aft cabin, which is accessed through the cockpit. Once again, it's a few steps down, but not quite full standing headroom in the aft cabin here. But there's lots of storage space, both at the sides and all around really. The actual bed configuration is 2 singles, port and starboard. Just after that we have another cabinet, and you can see here a shelf for storage of the old books. What looks like on the face of it as a vanity cabinet actually houses all the steering gear, etc. And just below the companionway ladder is access to the rear of the engine. Talking of which, the engine is a Beta 38 horsepower, and the boat was re-engined back in 2011. I would imagine it probably had the original engine, which was a Thornycroft 90 35 horsepower, but as you can see this engine is in lovely condition and really looked after. Obviously somebody who takes their engine very seriously. Back in the main cabin, off to the starboard side from the companionway, we find the chart table, which is nicely laid out. Solar management, various radio equipment, AIS, control panels and switches, all very much to hand. I especially like this radar setup, which is actually visible from the cockpit as well. Down below there we have the various power management and of course shore power. Again, all nicely laid out. Now I've mentioned the Mark I and the Mark II, so let's have a look at a few of the differences. Here in the main saloon in the Mark II you can see it's quite open spacious. Here in the Mark I you can see it's a very different arrangement with the galley over to the port side and forward, which as you can see has made space over on the port side for the chart table and a pilot berth below. Looking at the Mark II we can see of course it's a very different setup. And one or two other subtle changes, but those are the main ones. Nebula is incredibly understated and she's achieved one hell of a lot. She's rigged for blue water sailing, she's got solar panels, she has a Neptune wind vane steering system, with all the lines fed back to the cockpit and onto the wheel arrangement, which actually could save a small fortune. She's also rigged with two 280-litre freshwater tanks. Well, it's one thing to be rigged for blue water, but actually Nebula has done it. Back in 2017 she crossed down to the Western Med, down to Madeira, and then made her way over to the Cape Verde Islands. Later she crossed the pond to the Caribbean and made the crossing in a remarkable 17 days. Spent some time cruising there, and then in 2020 she sailed back across the pond under a solo crew, and that was thanks to COVID. So you can believe me when I say she's been there and she's done it. I think even Mr. Primrose would agree. What do you say, Mr. Primrose? You see, I told you so. Anyway, Nebula Moody 33.2. What a great boat she is. Unfortunately, by the time we actually had the budget in place, it was too late. So where does all this leave us? Well, yes, it's starting to feel a lot like we're in the bath, pull the plug and the water's running out around us. But nil desperandum. So right back at the beginning of this exercise, we created a list of what we were actually looking for. From that, we actually created a short list of boats that were on the market. So from this, we've created our short list, and it's getting shorter by the day. Well, for me, the top of that list was the Freedom 35. I really like that boat. Such an unusual design with a catch rig, etc. And it had so much going for it. Yeah, okay, you get it. But by the time we got there, you know, this happened. So, yeah, there goes another one. But what's next? The Colvick Countess 33 up in North Wales, Aldebra. Now, again, another boat I really liked. This is a Colvick Countess 33. Let's have a look. Aldebra boasts some 6 berths in 3 cabins. But what I really especially liked about this boat was this pilot house arrangement, which gives so much headroom and such good vision all round. Okay, I'm in the aft cabin, and I would say very much this is what we'd call a generous single rather than a double. While she boasts a nice deep cockpit, one of the concerns for us was the lack of a spray hood, which means that there isn't really much cover within the cockpit. And if you couple this with the fact that there is no auxiliary steering position in the cabin, unfortunately it means that one of the things on the shopping list straight away is going to be a spray hood. But of course all this can be fixed, so other than this, she's ticking all the boxes for us. So we entered a dialogue with the broker, and of course through them, the owner. Unfortunately, we found that the owner was pretty much rigid on his price, and unfortunately there didn't seem to be any room for negotiation.
Nope.
So there goes another one. You know, this is actually getting depressing. There's often a recurring theme here. That one's gone. No, that one's gone as well.
Nope.
What do you mean you won't negotiate on price? There goes another one. Bugger. Right, so you get the idea. Most of them are already gone. So what does this leave us? The boats are either sold or they're beyond our budget. Actually, it's pretty depressing. Either way, we actually go back to the drawing board and start with a new list. Either that, or we have to have a serious chat with some brokers.
I'm looking for a boat. I do have money. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will buy you.
I told you, things are getting desperate. So, we either stick with what we have, or we make some tough decisions. We've now reached a point where tough decisions have had to be made, and today is the day that our boat shopping ends. And that's because we bought a boat. How cool is that? Well, this is a path we've been walking for some time, isn't it, folks? Buying a boat. But down here is the new boat. You know, I think we'll wait till next time for the big reveal. Join us next time for a bumper episode where we reveal exactly what we bought, and more importantly, we take you with us on the delivery trip. And boy, what a trip it was too. We had fog, we had dolphins, and one amazing sunset. The new Kipper Tales adventure begins here, and we really hope you'll join us. See you next time.